Let's face it, too much of that black church has become the most dependable voter turnout department of the Democratic Party. Candidates arrive about 107 days before an election. They misquote scripture. They clap off beat. Oh, that's cringy. They tell us this is the most important election of our lifetime for the 7th lifetime in a row. The pastor introduces them as if Moses just entered the sanctuary. The congregation applauds. The cameras capture the endorsement. Election day comes. The Democratic Party gets its votes. The pastor gets access, relevance, photographs, appointments, or political relationships. And the congregation, you know what they get? Another sermon about waiting on God to fix the politicians have never addressed. That's not liberation theology. That's precinct management with an organ behind it. You think I'm lying? Let's look at the megachurch economy, shall we? T.D. Jakes built one of the most recognizable religious brands in America. Potter's House has attracted tens of thousands of members. Jakes built conferences, media products, books, real estate relationships, entertainment ventures, and extraordinary national influence. That makes him a brilliant institution builder. The question is whether the economic model he mastered became transferable to the people financing the ministry. How many members learned to build institutions? How much business capital flowed into the surrounding black community? How many congregants became owners instead of lifelong donors? Then there's Creflo Dollar. In 2015, his ministry launched a campaign seeking donations for a Gulfstream G650 aircraft, reportedly costing approximately $65 million. After public outrage, the campaign was somehow removed, although the ministry defended the need for the aircraft. I don't care about how many demons are flying in coach. A $65 million jet should not become the spiritual emergency of a working class congregation. If your ministry needs that kind of aircraft to spread the gospel, Jesus was criminally underfunded. He traveled by sandal and still changed the world. Then, of course, we have Jamal Bryant. During the 2024 election cycle, Bryant launched a Not One More Vote initiative. The message sounded powerful. Black voters should not automatically deliver their votes without specific concessions. Finally, somebody was saying the political transaction had to become measurable. But after presenting himself as a negotiator prepared to withhold black political loyalty, Bryant openly endorsed Kamala Harris. What concessions were secured first? Where was the signed agreement? What specific commitment did foundational black Americans receive? What policy demand was accepted? What deadline was established? If you tell the community, not one more vote without concessions, and then endorse the candidate without publishing the concessions, you didn't negotiate. You mobilized. The pastor received relevance. The political party received turnout. The congregation received rhetoric. That is the pattern.
What's going on, everybody? Appreciate you guys pulling up today. We got to check out this clip from my brother Dave Anderson. As you can see here, Black Boule exposed. This brother goes off, man. Jesse Jackson gets it. T.D. Jakes gets it. Jamal Bryant gets it. Steve Harvey, Ricky Smiley, D.L. Hughley, they all get it. It's about time somebody say it, because there are so many people out there, telling folks to vote blue no matter who, tossing softballs out to Kamala Harris, Roland Martin, Al Sharpton, Ben Crump. They're all out here on the grift. And the goal is keep black folks on that Democratic plantation. They have partnered up with the white liberals that are out there, and their game plan is the same. And I'm glad that there is somebody that has the cojones to call it out. Finally, I know on this side of things, we've been talking about these folks. We've been calling them out for quite some time. And I'm glad to see Dave doing it as well. Hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel. We're going to watch a little bit of this. I'm going to leave the entire link to the video in the description box below if you want to watch this without my commentary. Let's get into it.
There's a class of black leaders that always seem to win regardless of whether or not black America does. Politicians get reelected, the pastors get richer, the civil rights executives get raises, the media personalities get syndicated, the organizations get donations, the fraternities gain influence, the Democratic Party gets the votes. Everybody eats, except for the people suffering who pay for the meal. That is the Boule system. And before you amateur historians start hyperventilating, I am not claiming that every person discussed in this video is a member and a documented member of Sigma Pi Phi, the official organization known as the Boule. I am talking about the Boule as a ruling class, an interlocking network of political access, religious influence, corporate money, fraternal relationships, civil rights organizations, and media control. Separate institutions, shared interest, mutual protection, and one remarkably consistent political message. Today, we're not chasing secret handshakes. We're following public money, public statements, public endorsements, and public results. Because the most dangerous system is not the one that's hiding in the dark. It's the one that's operating in broad daylight while convincing you that noticing it makes you some type of conspiracy theorist. I'm Dave Anderson, the business bully. I worked inside a part of this machine. So today, I'm opening the hood. So let's start with the civil rights industrial complex. Jesse Jackson recently passed away, and I want to be really respectful of what he represented. Jesse Jackson was not insignificant. We're talking about somebody that marched with Dr. King. He ran for president twice. He opened up doors that had been nailed shut. He became an international figure and built an organization capable of getting corporate executives, politicians, celebrities, and media leaders in the same room. That's history. But respecting history does not require us to suspend accountability. We cannot eulogize a man and bury every legitimate question inside him. Jesse Jackson built Rainbow Push into one of the most influential civil rights organizations in the United States of America. The model was straightforward. Identify a corporation accused of discrimination or failing Black consumers, threaten protest, boycotts, or public pressure, bring that corporation to the negotiating table, secure corporate commitments, sponsorships, donations, jobs, contracts, or access, and then leverage that access inside the democratic politics machine. Sometimes that pressure produced legitimate opportunities. But the larger question is what happens after the cameras left? How much Black wealth was created? How many Black-owned companies became permanent corporate suppliers? How many families became homeowners? How many Black workers moved into senior leadership? How many corporate commitments survived after the press conference? Where's the public scorecard? Because access without measurable outcomes isn't power, it's proximity. After the Reverend's death, his son Yusef Jackson was named president and CEO of Rainbow Push. Yusef previously served as the organization's chief operating officer, so he wasn't dragged into the building 10 minutes after the funeral and handed the keys. But this is still an inherited transfer of institutional power. The founder's son now leads the organization, controls its relationships, manages its donor network, and inherits the moral authority attached to his late father's name. That is what you call a dynasty. Maybe it'll become an effective dynasty, but Black people have every right to determine that through measurable results. Not another convention, not another tribute, not another photograph with a presidential candidate. Give us the program, give us the number. Give us a deadline. Hell, give us the result. If Rainbow Push is helping Black businesses obtain contracts, publish the value of those contracts and track whether those businesses survive. If it's creating jobs, can you show us how many jobs, what those jobs paid, and how long they lasted? If it's producing economic equality, define the improvement, because continuing the legacy sounds beautiful. But a legacy without an audit is just a family business funded by community pain. Speaking of pain, let's talk about the Black church.
Before he goes into the church, I want to say this. The goal isn't to actually help out people in the community. To be honest with you, I'm one of those kind of people. If you're waiting on the Rainbow Coalition to help you, you're going to be waiting. And to be honest with you, I think you're hustling backwards. I think there are so many opportunities out there in this day and age that you don't need these people. And again, their goal isn't to help you. Their goal is to fill their coffers. Their goal is to be able to go to their Democratic overlords and let them be known like, hey, we can sway the vote, at least the vote within Black folks, in your way. We're going to give them a little bit of trinkets. We're going to give them just enough to thrive, never enough, just enough to survive, never enough to thrive. That's not the goal. The goal is to give you just enough so that it will appease you and you will feel like you've made something or they've given you something, but you will continuously need them. I can't think of anybody. I can't think of one company that received a grant from the Rainbow Coalition and they're a success. I can't think of one. And if you have one, please let me know in the comment section. Drop, let me know. I hadn't heard it. I was looking in Dave's comment section. I didn't see it. Where's the tangibles at? Where are the tangible outcomes from the amount of money? Because Lord knows they probably, brought in hundreds of millions of dollars, over the years. We know that the President Trump, actually gave Rainbow Coalition some office space and things of that nature up in New York, or maybe up in Chicago. If I can't remember, let me know in the comment section if you know. But they've been gifted things. But I hadn't actually seen the tangibles. I haven't seen it, I haven't heard anybody come out and say, hey, I received the check to start XYZ business and it's still flourishing. I hadn't heard it. I hadn't even heard the people that they've sent to college. And maybe they have sent some people to college. But in my opinion, I think college, especially in this day and age, it's a waste of time.
And I need everybody to breathe before they start rebuking me in the comments. I am in no way, shape, or form attacking God. God does not need a Gulf Stream. The Black church was once the revolutionary center of the United States, especially for Black America. It sheltered organizers. It funded movements. It hosted meetings. It trained up leaders. It challenged government power at the highest level. It mobilized communities when organizing could get you fired, beaten, bombed, or killed. The Black church was dangerous because it was independent. Today, let's face it, too much of that Black church has become the most dependable voter turnout department of the Democratic Party. Candidates arrive about 107 days before an election. They misquote scripture. They clap off beat. Oh, that's cringy. They tell us this is the most important election of our lifetime for the 7th lifetime in a row. The pastor introduces them as if Moses just entered the sanctuary. The congregation applauds. The cameras capture the endorsement. Election day comes. The Democratic Party gets its votes. The pastor gets access, relevance, photographs, appointments, or political relationships. And the congregation, you know what they get? Another sermon about waiting on God to fix the politicians have never addressed.
He's absolutely right. But what he's describing right now is the second wing of the second angle of the Iron Triangle. He initially spoke on Jesse Jackson, Rainbow Coalition, so forth and so on. These quote unquote, community organizers, these civil rights groups. That's one wing. The second wing is, or the second angle, more or less, is the church. These Black pastors. Their job isn't really to preach the gospel. Their job is to keep you on the Democratic plantation. They're no different than the pastors that Democrats from way back when in the late 1800s or early to mid late 1800s that they reared and raised up to preach to people on the plantation, about how they're supposed to obey their masters, so forth and so on, do everything but take the God-given that was given to you or bestowed upon you by God. Their job was to keep you in line. And when you look at a lot of the Black churches out here, not all, but a large amount of them, their job is to keep you in line, keep you on the Democrat plantation. Listen to your pastor. Don't read your Bible. We will give you all the information that you need to know. Anything else is uncivilized. And if you dare start to believe and think for yourself, at that point, we're going to have to whip you back in shape and get you back on this plantation.
That's not liberation theology. That's precinct management with an organ behind it. You think I'm lying? Let's look at the megachurch economy, shall we? T.D. Jakes built one of the most recognizable religious brands in America. Potter's House has attracted tens of thousands of members. Jakes built conferences, media products, books, real estate relationships, entertainment ventures, and extraordinary national influence. That makes him a brilliant institution builder. The question is whether the economic model he mastered became transferable to the people financing the ministry. How many members learned to build institutions? How much business capital flowed into the surrounding Black community? How many congregants became owners instead of lifelong donors? Then there's Creflo Dollar. In 2015, his ministry launched a campaign seeking donations for a Gulfstream G650 aircraft, reportedly costing approximately $65 million. After public outrage, the campaign was somehow removed, although the ministry defended the need for the aircraft. I don't care about how many demons are flying in coach. A $65 million jet should not become the spiritual emergency of a working class congregation. If your ministry needs that kind of aircraft to spread the gospel, Jesus was criminally underfunded. He traveled by sandal and still changed the world. Then, of course, we have Jamal Bryant. During the 2024 election cycle, Bryant launched a Not One More Vote initiative. The message sounded powerful. Black voters should not automatically deliver their votes without specific concessions. Finally, somebody was saying the political transaction had to become measurable. But after presenting himself as a negotiator prepared to withhold Black political loyalty, Bryant openly endorsed Kamala Harris. What concessions were secured first? Where was the signed agreement? What specific commitment did foundational Black Americans receive? What policy demand was accepted? What deadline was established? If you tell the community, not one more vote without concessions, and then endorse the candidate without publishing the concessions, you didn't negotiate. You mobilized. The pastor received relevance. The political party received turnout. The congregation received rhetoric. That is the pattern. Charisma will fill the seats on Sunday. Character and accountability determine what happens Monday through Saturday. And now we can get to the part that nobody else can tell the way I can. I didn't study Black radio from YouTube. I worked inside it. I executive produced Ricky Smiley's morning show in a national syndication. I sat in the rooms. I participated in the conversations. I watched stories get selected, redirected, softened, and sometimes buried. I had the footage because I was actually there. Now, this isn't something I pulled from another commentator's documentary. That's me inside of the operation. So when I tell you that Black radio doesn't simply reflect Black political opinion, but helps to manufacture it, I'm not guessing. I watched the factory operate, and the men running some of its biggest machines eventually told everybody exactly who they were. Ricky Smiley, Steve Harvey, D.L. Hughley, 3 nationally syndicated radio personalities, 3 comedians, 3 members of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, and Steve Harvey said it publicly. Don't take my word for it. Listen to his.
And Ricky Smiley happen to be on the same page. Now, we Q's now, and so is D.L. Hughley. And Q's kind of run the airways of Black radio.
Okay. All right.
The Q's is running the airways of Black radio.
You heard him. Me and Ricky Smiley happen to be on the same page. Then he named D.L. Hughley. Then he said, Q's kind of run the airways for Black radio. His words, not mine.
Yeah, I remember when he said it. These are nothing more but bought and paid for Sambos. And Steve Harvey has let you know that he's bought and paid for and willing to do anything for $1.
The problem is not that 3 fraternity brothers became successful. Black men are allowed to win without somebody immediately drawing a pentagram around the achievement. The problem happens is when men publicly acknowledge their command of Black radio, also push essentially the very same political message through supposedly separate platforms. That's not diversity of political thought. That is one political product sold through 3 different personalities. Let's break it down. Steve gives you the inspirational uncle version, Ricky gives you the church and comedy version, and DL gives you the angry intellectual version. Different packaging, same political destination. And because all 3 are comedians, political messaging can be disguised as entertainment. You laugh, you agree, you repeat it, then you vote. That's how narrative management works. It doesn't arrive wearing a trench coat whispering, "Welcome to the conspiracy." It arrives as a joke, a celebrity interview, a voter registration campaign, a carefully selected political guest, a conversation where one side gets the microphone while the other side gets called dangerous, ignorant, selfish, disloyal, racist, or a sellout. And I know somebody's going to say, Dave, you were just bitter because you worked with Ricky. No, I'm qualified because I work with Ricky. There's a difference. I'm not attacking his talent. The man is talented. I'm not questioning his right to have a political opinion. I'm questioning what happens when 3 men who acknowledge their command of major Black radio platforms all tell Black America essentially the same political story. Where is the serious opposition? Where is the economic accountability? Where's the person asking Democrats what Black voters receive for delivering overwhelming loyalty, electorally speaking, for decades? Where's the sustained conversation about reparations? Black business capital, anybody? Black home ownership? Black male unemployment? The destruction of Black neighborhoods? The economic effect of mass immigration on low-wage Black workers? The replacement of specific Black political priorities with every other coalition's emergency? Those conversations are too often shortened, redirected, mocked, or never even seriously platformed because those conversations threaten a political arrangement. And then Steve Harvey sat down with Vice President Kamala Harris at the 100 Black Men of America conference. This could have been an opportunity to ask difficult questions on behalf of millions of Black voters who listen to Steve Harvey. It could have been an interrogation of policy. It could have been a demand for measurable commitments. Instead, Steve clearly explained exactly what kind of conversation they were planning on having.
This right here was disgusting, to be honest with you. But at the same time, again, these people are bought and paid for. And I need people to recognize that Steve Harvey, DL, Ricky Smiley, and so many of these other people, Charlemagne the Fraud, so many of these other people, they're bought and paid for. They receive checks from the DNC. Now, that may not be this case right now because the DNC is broke. But back when USAID was alive and well, they were doing a really good job taking care of these folks. Him, the Roland Martins of the world, they were, it's amazing to me how there's no hip hop music on, in the top 20 or so or something along those lines. It's funny, how when the Democrats slush fund gets snatched away from them, how they have no money. And these folks, they're quiet. Why? Because, the Democrats don't have the money to pay them out anymore. So they're like, you know what? I'm not going to help, but I'm not going to hurt either. So they sit back and be quiet. Again, these are people that are part of the Iron Triangle. These are people whose job is to keep Black folks on that Democratic plantation. These are the people, unfortunately, that Malcolm X was talking about. You're looking to people like Steve Harvey and DL and all these other kind of people as leaders, within the community. And all they doing is leading you to the slaughter. You get the same old every 2 to 4 years. They have nothing tangible to offer you. And they're not in the business of even remotely, taking their job seriously as people with platforms that are syndicated across the daggone country. All three of these guys have platforms that you can hear wherever you are in the nation. So you would think that would come with, that would come with some responsibility. It would come with some journalist, integrity. Nope, not in your life. Their job is to cape for the Democrats. Their job is to make sure that they funnel you to the polls to support for whoever the DNC tells them you should support. This is ridiculous. When are people going to wake up?
Before y'all start calling my radio show and DMing me, talking about why you ain't asked no hard-hitting questions, that ain't what this is. I'm throwing a lob. This is an alley-oop for a dunk, because this administration needs to get the word out of what they're actually doing and what they're actually accomplishing, so we can stop all this foolishness about what you're doing for black people. Can't nobody come out with no agenda and call it this for black people and expect to get in the White House. You got to play the game different. Y'all know what this is. So now this next question is another lob for her to dunk. Because they done a lot, man. But we see, I'm on this radio show. I'm hearing all these people talking about, I'm not voting if they're not doing nothing for us. Listen to me. If you do not vote, the analytics will show they know how many women vote, they know the age you are when you vote. If we don't vote, how are we going to ask for something next time?
Alley oops for Kamala Harris to dunk.
Do you understand how crazy that is? What's really sad is the fact that Kamala Harris, who is running for office, who is running for your vote, he didn't stop him and say, you know what? Ask me the tough questions, because I'm here to serve you in your community. I'm here to serve the nation. Ask me the tough questions. But she's such a fraud. And for the life of me, people still don't know what she was running on, what her actual platform was. And, she was just like, yeah, this is great. Please, another softball. Because she was a candidate that wasn't worth a dang. Another Democrat candidate that wasn't worth anything, that didn't deserve to be in the position that they were in. Another DEI hire. Y'all know it. They said, you better put a black woman. Now, the reality of it is this: I don't think she's black. Her mama's Indian. Her father came out and said that he was Indian. How do you get, black in this? I have no idea. No shade to the Indian folks. I actually like Indians. Those from India, they're cool. I love Indian food. No shade to them. But how do you come out here and cosplay, as black, and then people jump on the bandwagon? That right there just goes to show you just the lack of information. This is sad.
That's not journalism. That is political public relations distributed through black media. He wasn't hiding it. He told the audience he was helping the administration get the word out. He acknowledged that he was not there to ask any hard-hitting questions whatsoever. Imagine having direct access to the Vice President of the United States in a
someone who wants to be the president of the United States in a room full of black people, and you are afraid, you decide, you choose, and you let them know that, hey, I don't care what y'all talking about. I'm going to do what these folks told me to do. Come on, man. This is ridiculous.
Room full of influential black men during an election in which black voters were being asked to save the Democratic Party once again. And you declared your strategy is to throw alley-oops. Not one question demanding a specific reparations commitment. Not one question demanding a measurable black economic agenda. Just political sports center. Steve then lectured black people about voting. He argued that nobody would give black people reparations if we wouldn't vote. Black voters have been delivering extraordinary support to Democratic presidential candidates for 6+ decades. The problem has never been that black people refuse to vote. The problem is that our votes are treated like prepaid debit cards that everybody else gets to swipe. Dr. Umar later challenged Steve Harvey, Ricky Smiley, and D.L. Hughley to debate whether the Democratic Party truly serves black people.
Steve Harvey, D.L. Hughley, Ricky Smiley versus Dr. Umar Ifatunde is the Democratic Party the party of African people? Roland Martin can join into. Dr. Umar wants to come on y'all show and debate you 3-on-1. And if y'all need Roland to help you out, Roland can come too.
However, before Huey steps up to the plate, he would throw in one condition. On Instagram, he would write, "I accept Umar's challenge to a debate under one simple small condition. We have it live in the auditorium of his school. Me and my cornrows will be waiting."
I ain't gonna lie. What DL said was funny. That's great comedy, but still no debate about the Democratic Party because comedy is not evidence. Sarcasm is not policy result. Asking where the school is does not explain where Black political return on investment is. You can't claim power when it's time to celebrate and then deny your influence when it's time for accountability.
Dave's cooking, man. He's absolutely right here. And I actually agree with Dave on everything except the reparation thing. That's a non-starter. It's not going anywhere. I know there's a lot of people out there. Y'all gonna be in your feelings. You're probably gonna unsubscribe because you heard me say that. Quit asking these folks for reparations. It ain't happening. You ain't never been a slave, and there's no one alive right now that is enslaved. When you look at who has the money right now, 90% of millionaires are first generation, meaning they wasn't gifted anything. There are some people, that were, gifted a little something to get started. But for the most part, that is not the case. There's no former slaveholders within a generation or two still alive. 90% of white people in America got here after, slavery ended. And to be honest with you, the reality of it is this, man. We can change a lot of things within the Black community by doing about 3 or 4 things. John Hope Bryant talks about this a lot. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, but you should check him out. Hey, you got to increase the marriage rate. You got to lower the out of wedlock birth. You got to stop spending money on stupidity. You got to learn how to invest. You got to get your credit score up. And you need to purchase a home because building wealth, the number one way that people in America do it, not Black people, not white people, not Asians, not Hispanics, the number one way people in America generate wealth is through homeownership. This reparation talk, it's not happening. So stop thinking about it. People need to stop talking about it. People need to stop going to politicians and saying no reparation, no vote. It ain't going nowhere. It ain't going to happen, man. Now, I do like the idea of the opportunity zones and some of these things, that were mentioned, when it comes to economics, for, folks within the Black community. I don't necessarily have an issue with that if you are willing to take advantage of that. But what I am going to say is that no one is going to grab your hand and walk you to the money. No one is going to do it. There are a plethora of opportunities out there right now. There's a plethora of opportunities out there. But when you hear the money, Dr. Umar, and I'm not a fan of his, at all. Umar Johnson, I don't even know if he's a doctor, but he had come out and was talking about how much money is wasted. It's not a situation where people in America, Black folks in America, don't have money when they're spending millions of dollars on hair products, millions of dollars on baby cologne, millions of dollars on designer clothing. It's not a situation where folks ain't got no money. It's a spending problem. Folks have bad spending habits. And to be honest with you, that's not just a Black thing. That is an American thing. A lot of folks in America has bad spending habits. They buy more house than they need. They rent more apartment than they need. They buy more car than they need. They don't understand how to live below their means. They're not saving money for an emergency. They're not investing money in the stock market. That's an American thing. Simple as that. But Dave was cooking. He was cooking. I have no qualms with 95% of what he said. When he talked about the community organizers, he talked about the Boule within the entertainment, you talk about the Black politicians, you talk about the Black churches and those types of folks. That's the iron triangle right there, man. And their job is not to see you move forward. Their job is to keep you on that Democratic plantation and compete and keep you voting blue no matter who. I want to hear from you guys in the comment section. What are your thoughts? Hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the notifications on to all so you never miss an upload. Consider joining the ARP family or buy your brother a coffee. That link's in the description box below. I appreciate the love. I appreciate the support. And as always, keep God first. Stay prayed up. We'll catch up with you guys next time. Peace.
It is God who arms me with strength. Yeah, I'm battle ready. He trains my hands for battle. My heart stays steady. But thanks be to God, he gives us the victory. Through my Lord Jesus Christ, it can't live in me. I was down to the dirt, red clay on my shoes, old pain in my shirt, oh so bruised. Then the Lord hit my chest, kicked air from my breath, put power in my step.